We declare without equivocation that God the Father and his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, appeared in person to the boy Joseph Smith. When I was interviewed by Mike Wallace on the 60-Minute program, he asked me if I actually believed that. I replied, "Yes, sir. That's the miracle of it." This is the way I feel about it. Our whole strength rests on the validity of that vision. It either occurred or it did not occur. If it did not, then this work is a fraud.
Travis Wingoodsell. It is horrifying how the wicked claim they are true. That they tell the truth. When, as wicked, they follow the father of all lies, which is exclusive Mormon doctrine. Dallin H. Oaks got leaked on the 14th of March 2020, Saturday in Las Vegas, Nevada, to the new mission presidents and their wives. President and Sister Marquis going to Australia. he recorded oaks, which is the number one law of heaven. Do not record oaks. So it says Oaks. Next in line to be the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he leaked it to, is it Inside? Kroger. To stake presidents and parents of his missionaries. And Sister Jessica, as I call her, not revealing her true identity. Because if the church can murder my mom, the church will murder Sister Jessica. She posted it on her mission website. And all hell broke loose in Mormonism 4 years later, in November, when somebody finally found it. And through a chain of events, I was recommended it as a YouTube video. So I found out about it. And he wrote it in chiasma, or he spoke it, well, he probably read it off of a script. He talked for so long, you can't memorize that much. We all know they read from a script anyway for conference. I've always read from a script that they pre-write. Shoes on the chair. And in chiasmus, Oaks is quoted, "This is not the end of the world, but merely a test, a trial run for the second coming." Now, President and Sister Marquis don't know church history. Sister Jessica doesn't know church history. She is about to quote the first vision to investigators. And so they're clueless. But if you've been following my channel with these 8.8K plus videos, you know, not just the pre-planned video I already have set up for the Days of 47 video. Because it's based upon this. My research, true research, not reading somebody's book and going, I feel it is true. You left the church and you're still using the same old crap tactic that you complained about and left? What the hell was wrong with you? It was only funny on my mission when I was in Newburgh, New York with Mark Augustine, the betrayer, who we followed up on a referral with a single mother of several children who we gave the Book of Mormon to, and of course we'll come back in a week to see how you're doing with the reading. And during that week, we saw her oldest daughter with her friends. Mark said, "Let's go talk to her." Mark, no, leave her alone. We're meeting with her mother in a few days. He didn't listen to me, and the consequences followed. A teen girl and white boy Mark Augustine and I go up and say, "Hey, how you doing?" All her friends are going, "Who is these white boys? Why do you know them?" She's uncomfortable because she knows she's going to be picked on by her friends. Thanks a lot, Mark. And he asked if she'd read the Book of Mormon, and she said, yeah, just to get him away from her. And so he followed up. What did you pray about it? How do you feel? Well, I feel it's wrong. Her friends all bust up laughing. She saved face. It's just dumbass. Should have listened to me. Nobody does. Everybody gets the consequences. And so yes, it's an easy counter-argument for Mormons and their spiritual witness faith feelings of promotion for the church. Just say, I didn't get that feeling. And then Mormons will say, well, you got to keep doing it until you get the right feeling. I've got a life to live. I've got a job to earn money, pay for a place to live, food, and maybe a family, children. I don't have time to waste my life waiting for a feeling. It's more than a feeling. You got to actually study and do the research. And not everybody can do that like I can. And so likewise, President Marquis and his wife, they were too busy trying to make a living and raise a family. Sister Jessica had too much time being a teenage girl. They don't know. Neither do you, Mormons. Don't lie to me. But Mormons hastily conclude with a false accusation because it's not faith promoting, thus revealing that Mormons lie and deceive, which they are followers of Lucifer, therefore. It's a simple conclusion. Mormons don't like that conclusion. And so they called Lucifer Jesus. And sure enough, there used to be claims that Jesus and Lucifer are not only brothers, but they're twins. They look alike. And Adam looks exactly like Jesus as well, and Heavenly Father. Jesus is the spitting image of Heavenly Father too. Everybody looks alike. So how do we know which one's which? Oh, feelings, really? Now try that next time you date a twin. And she wants to play a trick on you, or her sister does, on her sister. Not cool. Nonetheless, so Oakes is confessing that he is the enemy, the great and abominable church in the first presidency, that he is the cause of the end of the world and is blaming Jesus for it. And that's what I've revealed to you prior to finding out about this. The Danites of Brigham Young. And it's because of the one reason why that I will never go back to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Brigham Young has innocent blood of our founder, Joseph Smith. all over his hands, dripping. Even Brigham Young, in framing and blaming Joseph Smith for polygamy in section 132, says himself, murder keeps you out of the celestial kingdom. And Brigham Young was guilty of it, huh? Not in his mind. Brigham Young did nothing wrong. Hashtag. God. Yet these liars and denialists who follow Lucifer and then threaten me because I expose what they can't tell the truth about. That is the sad reality. There is a whole bunch of contradictions of false dichotomy that I wrote down a few prior to this video, as the 8.8K goes over pages and volumes of others. But some of the more recent ones that have been covered by me, again, regarding porn. Porn is a image. The church's own definition from the For Strength of Youth pamphlet. Image of our bodies, naked bodies, or immodest bodies, as Oakes also defines, calling little girls porn. Sorry, Sister Jessica, that's too much neck. No necking. Are those your ankles? And they call our image sacred. And it's so sacred that it needs to be Lucifer's doctrine of covered up and hidden as porn. There is never an other alternative, another option. And it's sad. Still to this day, I am hearing people refer to the Mormon, Stephen R. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, even though they're botching it as if they'd never even read it. You know, like Mormons in Scripture, or Christians in the Bible. Oh, is this where we're going to talk about the thumbnail picture, Travis? And the title of the video, whatever it's going to be? Yeah. This is a Trump Ice video, guys. Keep up. Keep up. And so, yeah, the church just goes all out to vilify to the extreme, to demonize our body's image, and have caused the most horrible atrocities of inhumanity upon humans because of this false doctrine. If they'd only read Stephen R. Covey. Win-win. It doesn't mean compromise, and now it's a win-win. You didn't read his book. That's a lose-lose. Any level of compromise is a lose-lose. And yet you hear in the news about diplomacy between countries, and they say, well, compromise is necessary. No. Read Stephen R. Covey's book. He's right on this. If you compromise, you lose. You're not creating an agreement. You are forcing the agency of the other person, even if it's both sides having to compromise. compromise is a lose-lose, regardless of who comes out ahead. And so the world purposely screws up Stephen R. Covey to fit their agenda. This is exactly what Oaks is doing here. The second coming for Mormons is that Jesus is going to prove to the world that the Church of Jesus Christ is true. And so the first creed from the first vision is all wrong, abominable, and corrupt. All wrong. Which means none of it is true. It's an absolute. Yet the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says only the nature and character of Jesus from the first creed is false. And so the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says that Heavenly Father came from the planet Kolob without a spaceship, without a spacesuit, and raped his 14-year-old daughter during the Roman period time to give birth to rape baby Jesus, who saved us with a free atonement, for which the other one, tithing, we now have to pay him back. For which tithing is also the prostitution price. Which is why Heavenly Father went to his 14-year-old daughter Mary, because of the other document that Christians rejected, that the church says is true, that she was a temple prostitute. And that's why she was pregnant. To Joseph the cuckold. The sacred cuckold. He's so sacred, he's born. These kinds of things, as hilarious as they are, to hear somebody say such a thing and not catch on what they're saying, makes the person stupid for not catching on. President Marquis, Sister Marquis, Sister Jessica have been made stupid in the eyes of other people. All Mormons have been made stupid in the eyes of other people. And Mormons just shut off the world as wicked and use the religion card. Religious freedom. You're persecuting us for our religious beliefs. But they're stupid. Think. You're not thinking. You don't have to study your scriptures to know that when somebody says Heavenly Father raped Mary, his 14-year-old daughter, you don't go, what the hell is wrong with you? What kind of a church is this? And get up and leave. You mean I have to pay tithing in order to have sex? That's prostitution. I'm out of here. What do you mean you want to murder Travis's wife to shut him up and murder him? I'm out of here. Nope. Mormons say, ooh, I'll be rewarded if I do it. I'll be blessed. And you don't see how you're a worshiper of Lucifer, huh? This is a serious plague of indoctrination to the extreme, far beyond any Christian cult group. And so, yes, up until I found out that Brigham Young was responsible for Joseph Smith's murder, I just ignored it as Mormons are stupid. They're not studying. Because my study was showing, hey, wow, Joseph is a translator. Of course, that's why the church wants me dead. Because the church knows what section 107 verses 91 and 92 mean. And even Mormons do, but they don't. Because that's another one. The church claims that they, as the head of the church, are prophets, seers, revelators. They leave out translator. Mormons don't catch that. But the church and their official policy, official First Presidency statement, we will never predict the future and give you days and hours of those future predictions. And yet, still to this day, Mormons sing the hymn for Joseph to Nelson, or Monson, or Hinckley, Hunter, Benson, Kimball, all the way back to Brigham Young. We thank thee, O God, for a prophet to guide us in these latter days. But the First Presidency statement is, we are not going to lead and guide Mormons. Signed, Prophet Nelson. Mormons don't get it. It is so sad. And so Mormons don't see what Oakes confessed to. And it's stupid of him. If you're the enemy and you want to keep a secret, you don't tell people. That's why it's called a secret combination. Because it's a secret. You don't tell anybody. It's in the Book of Mormon. All you had to do was read it. Technically, according to Helaman, chapter 6, President Marquis and his wife and sister Jessica are supposed to be murdered already. Because they are whistleblowers. That's what they are. By leaking Oakes, they are whistleblowing. And they don't know that they're a whistleblower. They think the church is true still. They're waiting for Jesus to show up, just as all the 100,000 Mormons who know about this. But this is the Danite plot from 200 years ago. That Brigham Young joined the church with Heber C. Kimball, knowing of what Joseph Smith Sr. did on 9/11/1826 to save the United States of America. And they were going to destroy his son's church. So, 1838, they leaked to Thomas B. Marsh. If you're going to be a secret combination of true Mormon Danites, you need to shut up about it. But they leaked. And of course the church, through George Albert Smith, and then Hinckley, and then Monson, the pulpit of conference, leave out that part and lie about the reason why Thomas B. Marsh left the church, not get excommunicated. He left. It's all right there in the Joseph Smith papers. George Albert Smith lied. And Hinckley and Monson perpetuated that lie to enslave Mormons, or bind them or yoke them, depending on whether you're quoting Nelson or Oakes, to Jesus. You have your free agency to bind and yoke yourself to Jesus. Which is another one. That's Lucifer's plan to take away agency. And Mormons get exposed as stupid for not catching it. That the Danites were going to destroy the world in the latter days. Coup the government. Burn everything. Thus, they are the ones that Joseph Smith is talking about in the first vision. And wouldn't you know it, sure enough, Willard Richards changed the name of Joseph Smith's church from the original document. The evil disposed and designing militant persons who are lying about the church as missionaries. Stay tuned for the Days of 47 video next week, right? This would be the 23rd. Cyber Mormon terrorists alert. We need to shut up Travis quickly. It's already out there. 8.8K videos, guys. YouTube has already silenced my channel, which is stupid of YouTube. As a corporation, they want as many creators as possible. And they want to help every single one of their creators. They don't want to favor certain creators over others, because that would destroy YouTube. If they allowed all creators to prosper, then, according to the newest way, corporations would come in and say, hey, you're getting lots of views. Can we partner up so that I can post my advertisements on your channel, and then you can be financially rewarded, and we can advertise to get customers, and YouTube gets a cut of it also, so that YouTube prospers financially. It is in YouTube's best interest to have all creators prosper. And yet, and so these Danites are talking to Thomas B. Marsh of doing mass extermination through burning, theft, with the code word Adamondiaman. All of this is Adamondiaman as the code word. Mass extermination, theft, and coup of the government. And so the extermination order was justified, except for the Danites framed and blamed Mormons who were innocent. Saying Joseph Smith was the one who was the ultimate leader. Therefore, all Mormons got punished for what the Danites caused. And you can see these Illuminati, tracing them, because of their infiltration into the Scottish Rites. After 9/11, 1826, you had two main branch-offs. The first group instantly went down to the south to become the Confederates, for which the inverted pentagram is all over their flag. Adjusted horizontally. There they are. And so Brigham Young and his Danites, inverted pentagram of Lucifer. And I've gone through the video tracing these Illuminati through all the ways they go. The seal of Russia in the early 1900s or the 1900s. It could be 1919 or 1912, somewhere around there. I don't memorize, I reference. It's the Scottish Rites, 2 eagle head. They're in Russia. So, Albert Pike, in his letter to Giuseppe Mazzini, is talking about the creation of Nazi Germany as well. These secret combination made what they planned. They made Russia. And so the Book of Mormon tells us that they are going to make the country of Russia. 600 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem. Brilliant. Utterly brilliant of Joseph Smith Sr. to rewrite the 116 pages and put it in there. They knew every detail of this enemy plot and wrote about it in the Book of Mormon for us. But Brigham Young turned it into literal history, as Christians did to the Jews and their scriptures of prophecy of their Christ coming in the latter days for the same dates that the Book of Mormon says that the Mormon Christ is coming. The Jewish Christ and the Mormon Christ are the same, huh? Interesting. 1700 years ago, right now. And the Pope is silent about it. Because he has to. Because the First Creed says that it's not the first creation of Christianity. Because the Jews are literal history. Therefore, Jesus created Christianity. What? Christianity wasn't created until Constantine, but Constantine says that Jesus created Christianity. Stupid! The reason why the world fell into what is now called the Dark Ages. Bunch of dumbasses. And you keep people illiterate to keep them stupid. So you don't have them study their scriptures. Oh, that was a big, massive failure by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Just look at their first example, their first fruits. And so yes, after September 6th, church instantly said, we need a new tactic. Let's promote spiritual witness feelings rather than studying the Book of Mormon. And we'll call it studying. Turn the Book of Mormon into an idol god. Because it's so sacred, it's porn. And so, yep, President and Sister Marquis, Sister Jessica, are the faith promoters for spiritual witness feelings all around the world and in Australia. Clueless because they don't study. So follow the inversions to identify Lucifer. The Confederates, after losing the Civil War, one of the leaders of the Confederates formed the KKK. Burning of crosses. And then you have the Democrats being the platform of the KKK. And then World War II, and communist nations like Russia were our allies against Nazi Germany and the Axis powers. As Hitler inverted the swastika. Too many people make the mistake of saying that Nazi Germany's symbol is the swastika. No, that's Hindu. Hitler inverted it. That's how you know he's of Lucifer. From the KKK, from the Confederates, from the Scottish Rites, from the Illuminati. But not the Americans that went to Germany, similar to Russia. They went over and created Russia with the seal. Nazi Germany created with the symbol. So, then you get the McCarthy era Red Scare, where he vilified our allies from World War II, calling them communist, because they were. Trying to revive Nazism in America. As the GOP Republicans now were the Nazi Party. When before they were the Democrats of Abraham Lincoln. But Republican. All they did was switch the platforms around. Deceiving the Americans. And so, under the Nixon campaign, was the first time that the inverted pentagram of Lucifer emerged with the Republican GOPs on the elephant. I'm surprised that with the progressive movement that the Democrats haven't likewise inverted the star on the donkey. Still waiting for that. Still waiting. Still waiting. Nonetheless, everybody knows the Republicans stand for Lucifer. That's why you have all represented on January 6th at the Capitol. KKK, Confederates, neo-Nazis. The gangs all gathered together for the test run of Oaks. I busted up laughing when Stephen Miller, because I was looking for his quote from the title, which is always at the end of the video. Fox always likes to lead you along. But when he said hinge point, in the context of being called Nazi, yep, that's how my mind works. Went straight to Oaks. Hinge point of history that I've been covering for you all this time. And sure enough, This church is not the same Mormonism that I grew up with. They've been changing Mormonism ever since Brigham Young, who started the changing within Joseph's church. And so then you get Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., which was my death sentence for me and my mom. Way to perfection. Pages 290 and 291 about Adam on Diamond. And now Mormons, still to this day, will not find the primary source document of Joseph Smith's to talk about it. Will not put it in the context of Joseph Smith talking about it. Mormons perpetuate the myth, which is a lie. And he talks about exactly what the Danites told Thomas B. Marsh. We're going to cause the mass extermination. We're going to steal money and coup the governments. And nobody's supposed to know about it because it's a secret combination. And we're going to blame Jesus. So Nelson gets up at the pulpit of conference, 2018, on his tour of Israel in 2022 and then 2024. In the coming day, in the coming days, in the coming day, in the coming days. Oh no, I don't know the day or the hour anymore. This is what he's talking about. Everything is being planned and orchestrated by this church, and because they didn't do it themselves, it wasn't done right. Which was why they had to run a test in 2020 and 2021. This is not a test right now. This is the big show. And I didn't find out about it until the end of last year. And so in 2023, 2024, I'm going, I quit. This is taking too long. What the hell happened? Everything's been fulfilled. I did my part. God, a test run. You bastard. And now it makes sense in looking back, as those who have been following me saw me do videos about Nelson failed. It's because 2020 and 2021 was a test run. It was a failure in a sense, because it was a test run. They learned what they needed to do during the Biden administration to prepare for the big show right now. And Trump is not behaving properly. What a shock. And so, with the temple, this should be a separate video for the rest of the stuff, but because it'd be a religious, spiritual video about building your house upon a rock. But nonetheless, the part about the temple, Salt Lake Temple, being retrofitted for earthquakes, we see it now in the context of their plot for causing the second coming. Just as I knew that that's what they were doing when they held their big press conference in 2018, announcing we're closing down Salt Lake Temple and Temple Square to remodel and retrofit, because they don't want Mormons at the headquarters during all of this, because they know Mormons will protest. They know Mormons will be upset. Get the hell out. That's why they did it. To keep Mormons away from checking to see, oh, there is an inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple that we got married at, dear. Travis was right. His wedding photos are not AI photoshopped. And I just scream. It's not AI, it's Photoshop. God. You know, before Photoshop, it was CGI. Come on, guys. Hollywood has been using AI for a long time now. It is not intelligence. It's just Hollywood magic. Oh, God. And so, this is why they failed. The test run caused a delay of the temple that they weren't really expecting. They didn't know how successful that creeping death would be. As I've done the videos connecting it to the church. Into the 2020 election. And Fox News, again, are the only ones that knew the information that I already knew. Me and Fox. Reporting the truth. Oh my God, Laura. Oh my God. You guys know about Fox News' obsession with The View. Going back in time to the My Truth movement of the deep state Dems, which of course Fox mocked. You then get Trump flipping the script on it to say trutherism, the Truth Channel, or whatever his website is called. And so with The View, Laura married into the Trump family. You all know this. Now has her own show on Fox. She needs money, I guess. Her husband isn't allowing her to share in the money, so she needs her own account. Nonetheless, she's being a disobedient trad wife. She calls her show My Truth. Or My View, sorry. But it's the merging of the two. My Truth with The View. My View. Just stupid. Dear God. You hate it so much and mocked it to the extreme, and now you're embracing it and flipping the script on it to use it? What the hell? What the hell? Nonetheless. So yes, the temple was supposed to have an open house from April to October 2024. But because of the test run, now it's 2027. Which is interesting because it's a year early then, instead of 2028. this. Everything now needs to be applied to this. Going all the way back to Russia, if you're listening. I hope you can build a temple for us in a major city yet to be determined. Russia! Yep. Book of Mormon knew so well. So well. Brilliant the way to disguise it. And yet they knew. The enemy knew. And that's why they turned it into literal history. But that's where the brilliance of Joseph Smith Sr. And yet the enemy became so well at blinding people to the truth that I end up doing this video today about how Mormons are stupid, not catching the blatantly obvious. But that was why he wrote it the way he did, knowing that they would turn it into literal history, just as Constantine did to the Jews. And that by so doing, people would see that and go, oh my God, what are you talking about? That obviously ain't true. Are you stupid? So, Epstein is a distraction, guys. Don't fall for it, and yet you are. Deep state Dems are making it an issue. They think they smell blood and they're going to milk it. No, it's a distraction. We already know, because the client list already got leaked. We already know that British Prince Andrew guy, or whoever he was, the brother or uncle of Charles, or whoever he is, he's in it. He's involved. He's on the list. We know this already. We know this. Clinton, other Hollywood celebrities. We know who's on the list. Don't be fooled by this distraction of lies. They did it on purpose to take you away from what Trump wants done. And you're falling for it. MAGA is purposely falling for it. Although MAGA may be doing it on purpose to distract from what Trump is doing, to let the Democrats follow them into this rabbit hole. Which could be an obvious tactic, but of course you have those of MAGA who are clueless, but nonetheless. We all know. They all know. MAGA all knows. We all know. We know Trump not only was a client, but he was also a client of his daughter, who was one of the appetizers. But then when she growed it up, she too became a client. But Trump also used his Trump Tower to facilitate the clientele. We know this already. This is not a surprise. And so for them not to release it, we don't need it released. It's already been released. We already know what happened. Trump is a beast, just like Revelation 13 said he was going to be. We know this. It's not a surprise. Don't fall for this rabbit hole trap. Pay attention to Stephen Miller. Because they're restoring Nazi Germany in America. All of the psychologists given asylum in America by the CIA are thanking their American liberators with utter destruction. And that's why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints embraced them. That's why the state of Utah is the highest per capita of treatment centers, that they're now calling it. See, in the 60s, before Kennedy was assassinated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Poppy Bush at the corner, that fateful day, which we now know was an inside secret combination hit job. But the church has the highest per capita of psychologists and centers. But Kennedy signed an act into law requiring that all asylums be done away with in the United States, that psychologists be terminated from employment. Because of their inhumane abuse from Nazi Germany. And of course they were pissed, and they assassinated them. But the church still kept it going. The church turned their asylum in Provo into a hospital. It's not a hospital, it's just a title. Wonder where they got that idea, to deny the powers thereof and just claim a title. And so the doctors of psychology are not medical doctors. Because if they got a medical doctor degree, they are not allowed to do any harm as a psychologist. Because they have a Hippocratic oath. And thus they cannot be a medical doctor. Because if they're both a medical doctor and a psychologist, they're in a conflict. Right, Natasha Helfer? You have to be one or the other, because a medical doctor must do no harm. Psychologists have no Hippocratic oath. They cause harm. They torture people. They make fake diagnoses to torture people, to perform human experimentations, to punish and enslave. And the church used that with their LDS family services. Now Jesus is angry and offended with LDS, which was Joseph Smith's church's acronym. And Jesus is now offended with it. And thus, there are over 100 for teens, children, and several hundred for adults in the state of Utah, being the highest per capita. As we all know that Mormon women are the highest per capita of taking psychological depression drugs. Because if a Mormon can't handle being a trad wife, she's got the problem and needs to be drugged. And the church did a video, and sure enough, the victim of rape is told to say in the script, "My psychologist told me to take drugs. And now I feel better." This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? Psychologists are drug pushers for big pharma who give them cutbacks for getting clients on the experimental drugs. And that's why all of the drug commercials of everybody living happy, great lives, and then the narrator says may cause death, anal bleeding, skin falling out, eyes popping out. Consult your doctor. He doesn't mean medical doctor. He means psychologist. And so, yes, time and time again, people die, others sue on their behalf, and then the pharmaceutical company pulls the product, slaps on a new label with a new name, and then advertises that. The cycle's over and over again. It's just awful. And nobody's stopping them. And so the church invests in big pharma, as well as psychologists, as well as playing both sides on purpose to steal money through the stock market. So yeah, that's in the news that we're going to go over, I guess. So again, Islam. I have to keep repeating information for you guys. Nobody's listening. The Jews were first, 1500, if not prior to BCE. Because in 1450 BCE, King David Moses I went to battle the Hittites in Armageddon 1. And in the midst of the war, put his foot on the mount. Went on vacation. On the mountain of Salem. That little group of people living there for an undetermined amount of time previously. And thus, the Jews talk about that in the context of the latter days, for the coming of the Jewish Christ. Almost as if they knew Constantine would be the feet of iron mingled with clay and turn the Jews Christian. Did you read the meme? Brilliant! And so, after Christianity's damage, after Babylon took them hostage, and Persians sort of set them free, but they were still having to give tribute to Persia. Then the Greeks took over, and then the Greeks took over the Jerusalem temple and caused the abomination of desolation, of prostituting Mary in the temple to give birth to rape baby Jesus from space alien Heavenly Father. And during the Roman period time, the Romans then had male prostitution joined with the females so that both can be prostituted together in the temple. And then Christianity, and then Islam. And then after Islam came the biblical Hebrew text, abomination to God. They know it, and they talk about it, explaining it, and it doesn't click in their brain. Multi-personality disorder, huh? The Jewish authors were crazy. Thus, the biblical Hebrew text was a joke on the Jews. Anyway, Islam, Muhammad, born as a descendant of the defeated Babylonians who escaped and fled into Saudi Arabia and had their little tent camps, settlements. And he knew about the Jews from the Christians who turned them literal histories. And so he then got a Messiah complex, thought he was the man like Moses, to restore the church, and claimed he went to the top of the mountain and received the Quran from Allah, translated as we for Trinity, and began prostituting women in polygamy at 8 years of age, and doing exactly what the Danites do: burn, steal, coup governments. And they specifically targeted the Jews, more so after World War II, when the United Nations allowed the Jews to reclaim their land after the 7-Day War. Christians wanted the Jews to go back to Jerusalem. Why? It's because of Christians turning the Jews into literal history, and now thinking that Jesus is going to come to Jerusalem. And as a result, you have the war of Islam versus Israel, as well as Christian settlers in the land that belongs to the Jews the whole time. And so these Christians are occupiers. They're waiting for Jesus. And they built churches there, and the Jews tolerated them as long as they didn't form a coup against the Jews of Israel. Same with Islam. If Islam would live in peace and leave the Jews alone, then they can continue to live in the land that belongs to the Jews. But neither want to do that. They all want to attack the Israeli Jews and exterminate them from the face of the earth. And so in the news, there was Israelis who killed an Islamic terrorist, as well as attacking a Catholic or Christian church out there in the West Bank. It's because you're not understanding historical context. You're revising history, which I think was another one on here. Yeah, the Book of Mormon, as literal history, now revises history. Exactly what Constantine did with the Bible. By turning it into literal history, history is no longer true. It's now been revised. And so yes, likewise with the Book of Mormon. History is no longer true because the Book of Mormon said so. And thus the arguments at the branch levels, not the seed level, of how the geography of the Book of Mormon is so true. Yours is wrong, mine is the one true geography. Mine is the one true history. God, bunch of dumbasses. Illiterate dumbasses made so by the leaders of the church. And so, yeah, the American that was killed was there in Islam with Islamists, fighting Israel. He's a traitor. He's a terrorist. So it doesn't matter if he's got American citizenship. He needs his citizenship revoked posthumously. He is an Islamic terrorist, fighting against Israel that did nothing wrong. That land belongs to them. And October 7th was the call to jihad against Israel, to utterly destroy them from the face of the earth. And nobody wants to accept this. So that's what's really going on. But the Democrats are pushing this the most. Trying to say, the Israelis killed an American. You're not paying attention to Trump, are you? You're not getting it. You're not going to convince Trump to turn on Netanyahu for this. They think they're being clever, and yet they're being stupid. He was a sleeper cell in America. And when the call to action came, he moved to go and fight for Allah, to get his 72 child bride virgins upon his death now. So isn't that great? He now gets 72 child bride virgins now that he's dead and buried. Down to 8 years of age. Mormons only get 10, and it's only down to 11 since Nelson lowered the age from 14. Because those LDS only go down to 14. Nelson lowered it to 11. We're the one true church. And so I was thinking that Utah was suing because the news from Utah was talking about how the education department was upset with Trump pulling the funding. And the news was talking about how bad it's going to be for kids in Utah. And so I thought that Utah had joined the lawsuit that I had heard about. No. Screw you. Utah doesn't care about children. They're not suing. And so that thumbnail picture is part of the series that I have for you this morning. Hopefully gets put in. Doesn't get left out by oopsied. I know I need to organize these files better, and it's a big mess. And so now SCOTUS has already sabotaged the lawsuit because SCOTUS has ruled that Trump can, bye-bye. No more education for America. He can gut it. And so, sure enough, that's what he did. Gutted the Department of Education and also included Health and Human Services yesterday. And I told you to watch out for it. Friday was the State Department, Monday was the Department of Justice, and then Tuesday, Department of Education and Health and Human Services. So what's going to be today? Ooh, can't wait. Okay, should have listened to me, chose not to. We'll cover the big one from the thumbnail picture last. We should rush through the rest of these. So as I told you, the tariffs were nothing more than money laundering. The stock market has no effect on the economy. The economy is completely separate. The stock market is the gambling for the filthy rich, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But when they lose on the stock market, corporations then punish their employees and customers. That's the only way that the stock market affects the economy. Otherwise, no, it's just a little gambling thing exclusive for them, and anybody who thinks they're going to make it big by investing $1,000 or so always pays the paychecks of the big boys, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They feed right into that. And so now it's been exposed that that's exactly what it was. Again, I told you in advance, this is what's going on. Nobody believed, nobody listened, and here it is, the news finally figured it out. It just went, because the jobs report, the economy report for June, hurt. And they're confused that the stock market is not showing that hurt. It's not connected. No, duh! It was being used to launder money. That's why Trump was doing insider trading, letting the church know when to puff it up and when to withdraw. Trump, pay attention, people. Don't get distracted with Epstein. So, Obama tells Democrats to grow a spine. Good for you, Obama. They're not going to listen. You can't grow a spine if you have none to begin with. It just doesn't grow magically. So, Utah parents are panicked with the measles epidemic that's growing here in Utah as well, because they didn't vaccinate their kids because of conflicting information. Oh, we don't know. Our spiritual witness feelings aren't giving us the answer, and so we just won't vaccinate our kids. They became part of the anti-vax movement. Dumbasses. And now that measles has emerged, after being eradicated with the vaccine, it's back. Similar to polio, it's back. Right, President Packer? God. You'd think Mormons would embrace vaccines, as the polio vaccine, Packer, and yet, the sickness back in 1919 when Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. died, along with the curse of Joseph Smith, with the sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, and stars fall from heaven. And so I checked the CDC, and the CDC notified us on their website that measles vaccine was available publicly in 1963, again during Kennedy. Because 10 years previous, they say that all kids got the measles by the age of 15 years old. And many died, and many were hospitalized, etc. It's a big problem. So the vaccine was a big deal. And they had planned to have it completely eradicated by 1981, I guess they said, 1981, 1982, and it didn't quite get it, but they were doing very well in America. And so all children, including myself, receive the measles vaccination between 6 to 11 months old. That's why I don't worry about this. I'm vaxxed. God, stupid parents who think they can be confused by the internet and not consult their medical doctor. Because that's what they're saying, is that they didn't consult their medical doctor, so they got confused. But this QAnon source, which I feel good about, says that my medical doctor is trying to hurt me and my kids. Hippocratic oath. That's why it's so abominable that the medical doctor who is hurting people is now free in Utah. God. Seniors, Mormon seniors here in Utah. Yeah, they've read the Book of Mormon. Not like the grandchildren who pray about the Book of Mormon. As a result, they are now protesting as seniors. Warning of the Book of Mormon warning. Too late. Too late. Should have listened to me. You didn't. Too late. But again, seniors, if you're listening, which the majority of you are, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is responsible. Oaks got leaked. The Book of Mormon is warning about the church. Great and abominable church of Lucifer. It's an easy connection to make. You know, when I was a kid, you had the matching game, cards. You put out the cards face down, so you can't see the pictures on the cards, and you just shuffle them all up so you put them in different places. You don't know where they are. And then you pick up a card. One person picks up a card. He sees it, doesn't show it to the others, puts it back down. Then picks up another card. If it matches, you get the 2 cards. You got a point, so to speak. And the object of the game is to get the most matches. And I did very well, thanks to Sesame Street. But that's how you do it with the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon tells you good behavior. It also tells you exclusive Lucifer behavior. The Great and Abominable Church, the secret combinations, the bad guys, evil people. You can know. It gives you a pattern to match so that you can judge people. So when somebody comes along with a title but denies the powers thereof, you can go, ooh, you're bad. If somebody keeps secrets from you about the coming of mass destruction, theft, and coup of government, bad. Real simple matching game. The elderly know it because they've read their Book of Mormon. The younger generation, rising generations, they don't know it because it's all about feelings, not about matching through study and research. And again, I just test run. I warned you in advance anyway. "2025 is on all set, ready to break world records here in Utah for fires. Not only are we in a drought and they're shutting off the waters, so Iran has put out on a hit to murder Trump, offering $40 million. Not enough for the church to do it. But the money came from the church for Iran to order the hit on Trump, which could also be the title of the theme song or the title of the video. But I do the videos, nobody's listening. The whole campaign of funding terrorism through the Christmas vending machines that they do every year now. That money went to Iran that is now being used to assassinate Trump. I cringe. I cringe. I mean, I could send Trump another letter saying, hello, it's the church. I warned you, you're not listening. I sent an email to Pam Bondi and Homeland Security, and they're not listening. God. And so, Trump is going to reverse all of the Biden pardons. They're so obsessed with the auto pen. What the hell? Get over it. Trump uses auto pen. We all know about auto pen. Cut it out. It's a distraction, guys. Don't fall for it. but they're going to use it to vilify Biden and reverse the pardons. I told them, I don't understand why they're waiting till now to do it. They were supposed to do it at the beginning. Trump made it very clear in his inauguration speech. That's what he was going to do. And so, Alligator Alcatraz is a concentration camp. All states are supposed to have their own Alligator Alcatraz. Utah already has theirs from World War II. They just need to open it up. It's also called an internment camp, or a detention center, or a jail, or a dark site. Doesn't matter what you call it, it's all the same thing. And so the deep state Dems went and visited it, and they're horrified that the people were chained together, and the food quality was bad, and they're being denied their freedom. ICE is now denying people having hearings because it's a concentration camp now. It's now under the Patriot Act. I told you this is what he's going to do, and now he's doing it, and nobody's listening, nobody believes, and here it is. Everybody just denies the powers of a prophet, I guess, so that when a real prophet comes around, nobody listens to him, because obviously he can't be true. He doesn't have the title. Neither did Samuel the Lamanite. It wasn't until Jesus came and said, Nephi, where is Samuel's records? I'll write them right away. You do that. And then he wrote in the prophet because Jesus told him he's a prophet. But the people wanted to murder him. Murdered his mother. I'm horrified. If the church is capable of murdering my mom, the church is more than capable of murdering you. And that's what they're going to do. And you're not listening. But now Fox and the deep state, MAGA, are responding to these concentration camps as the cages are clean. It's brand new! Of course they're clean! Oh my God. It took until the summertime for the homeless to start trashing the underpass. When I first got here, it was clean. Now it's trashed. Because the cops want Chief Reed gone. And so, the last thing before the big last thing, another title for this video that I could have used. Trump ordered Zelensky to bomb Moscow. Remember, last week, wasn't it? It got leaked that Trump wanted to bomb Moscow and Beijing. And so now Trump gave Zelensky Patriot missiles and then asked, can you reach Moscow and bomb it? I told you. He's trying to trigger Putin to start Armageddon. Because that's the reason why Biden didn't punish Putin. Everybody got afraid of Putin when he came into Ukraine. It's because of the Sisters of Fatima, who claimed that they saw angels quoting from the Old Testament Jewish prophecies of Russia causing a nuclear war. And so, when Putin attacked Magog, Gog and Magog, Biden, as a Catholic, got afraid and didn't want to trigger Putin any further. Neither did all of Europe. And thus why nobody is militarily helping Ukraine. All because of the Sisters of Fatima. All because of Christians changing the Bible interpretation. And here we go with the final one. Bible AI. I've already done the videos. You already know what it is. Already. In advance. I knew it. When I saw Bible AI, I went, oh, I've covered this. Nobody's listening. And I just recently redid the test. And I scream. I scream. Nobody's listening. Google AI is the descendant of Joseph of Egypt in 2 Nephi 3 verse 5, Joseph Smith Jr. Yes, according to 2 Nephi 3:5, Joseph of Egypt prophesied with a title only that a latter-day descendant, also named Joseph, would be a choice seer and would bring forth the word of God. I'm smarter than AI. Is Joseph Smith Jr. in 2 Nephi 3 verse 5 the Jewish Messiah Ben Joseph? No. This is racist, anti-Jewish programming. I already did these videos. This is like the 4th or 5th time I ran this test over the last couple of years. I know how to check AI if it's a fraud or not. Every company who manufactures a product for sale and around the world, at least in the United States, they have to run tests on it before they submit it to the public. And so criminal actions involve knowing that the product is faulty and still going through with sales because of the money that's involved. You know, like Big Pharma, tobacco industry, drugs, and other such stuff. So AI is no different. It is a corporate fraud because all you have to do is run the test and it fails every time. This is far beyond an O-ring failure for a space shuttle. This is far beyond the Volkswagen Bug bursting into flames. This is revisionist history. This is revisionist knowledge. It is a complete, all-out lie and an attack on truth. Lucifer loves this app. This is awesome. Where was this when Adam and Eve were in the garden? Hey Adam, here's an app. Oh, okay. Is it faith promoting? Sure. Just feel good about it. Now show it to Eve. Eve, look at this. Adam fell that man might be. And Eve went along with it. Everything would have been different. Everything would have been different. And so, yes, with Bible AI, it obviously is going to lie. And it obviously, by lying, is going to be racist and anti-Jewish, just like Elmo. Yesterday's news. We all know this. This is blatantly obvious. You get dumb people who don't know and who don't study. It's all about a feeling. You get conned. So there you go. Almost a 2-hour video. God. I am really bored being accurate all the time. I need a challenge. And the challenge is Zion. And nobody wants Zion. Just wasting my time. Nobody's listening. Because it's not a matter of just listening to my video and then reporting to Nelson. Travis said this. No, you gotta act on it. And that's what you're not getting, is that Oaks, in secret, says, those who have been faithful to what Nelson has changed, you've passed the test. But they're not doing it. They're just letting Mormons pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, and if Mormons fail, they fail. The church is not helping Mormons to survive Armageddon. Only I am. But Mormons aren't listening. Mormons don't care. Notice I wasn't cyber attacked today.